Okay, so we weren't really intending on filming today.
Hey, you guys stay here.
Stay in, kids. You got your pistol? Okay. Oh my gosh. This is like every time we come down here. So I'm gonna get in the truck and move closer to him.
I only see one person, but right down here that just tripped and fell. So
Okay.
let's just walk around, and you can make sure there's nobody else on the other side.
Okay.
I'm gonna go see. There's a bunch of people right there too.
All right, Kevin. So every time we come down here, what do we have to deal with?
Trespassers.
Trespassers
Yep.
and people squatting on my parents' property and our property, right? And people drugged out of their minds. Every time we come down here, it's so aggravating.
So as you can see, we had another trespasser, and we always come down here armed because we've had multiple run-ins ever since our family's owned this property. It's non-stop, and just to get things out first of all, we do not mind if people walk up and down the creek. That's perfectly fine. There's a lot of families around here that like to visit each other and just like to walk up and down the creek looking for artifacts or just killing time, enjoying nature, whatever. That's perfectly fine. But what we've been running into here recently, going back to last fall, is me and my brother-in-law come down here, and we were coming down here to shoot some guns and sight some guns in and stuff, and there was actually a tent just sitting right over here in this little clearing, and there was a couple people in it, and they were doing drugs. They had a bunch of bags. They were throwing trash all over the place. We didn't video none of that or film any of that or nothing. We had a conversation with them, and they told us they wouldn't come back. but they were drugged out of their mind and couldn't hardly walk. So I don't know how much, I don't think we were videoing when we pulled up, but when we pulled up, we seen someone kind of like stand up out of this grass, and then they just kind of took off trying to run, and they were stumbling like they were either drunk or drugged out of their mind. And as we approached to get a better view right around this creek here, I think Rachel was filming all that. You could clearly see it was a single female all by herself, and we didn't approach her because in some instances in the past, when we've approached some individuals that were down here drugged out of their mind, they were very aggressive. And we don't even have a cell signal down here, so you can't just call law enforcement or anything like that. You got to come down here ready to deal with whatever you got to deal with. So
And the last time, there was several that came out of the woods, right?
Well, yeah, and I just heard someone in the woods. They seemed like they already took off running and probably left this individual behind. So when you're down here, you just never know what you're getting into. You don't want to run up to someone and start saying, "Hey, what are you doing on my land?" Usually when we pull up, they take off running like they just did. But you never know their intentions. When we just pulled up and she just stood up and took off running, and she had some bags and stuff, we didn't know if she was like vandalizing some of our stuff that we keep down here or what. So you always want to check it out. But normally 90% of the time when they see you, they just take off running. And it was pretty clear this one was either drugged up or drunk out of her mind, because she couldn't even walk. She was stumbling and falling down and all that. And I hear more voices back here in the woods, and this creek bend is pretty much the end of our property anyway, so that's none of our business if they're over there doing whatever. But when they come over here, a lot of times they'll go to the bathroom and just throw toilet paper down. A lot of times we'll keep a porta potty down here in the summertime, which we quit doing because of the usage from all the strangers and stuff walking down here. But it's frustrating because Rachel and the kids can't even come down here by themselves. Like if they wanted to come down here and enjoy it in the summertime, they really can't come down here because there's so many people around that just do drugs. And like
It's not safe.
Like I said, this is very, very rural. There's no cell signal down here. It's completely off grid, no electric, no rural water, electric, phone signal, nothing. So when you're down here, you're down here. You can't just call the cops if there's a problem. So you got to come prepared to handle things yourself. And you never know what your kids are going to have to see. Luckily, so far, when we've come down here, we haven't found anything but like beer cans and liquor bottles and cigarettes. We haven't seen any syringes or any of that weird stuff. But we do know there's a lot of people living here. And going back to the story of last fall, that tent was set up right up here. And we actually did talk to them. We were sitting here waiting for them to come back, and they come back and talk to us. And it was a bad deal because, like I said, they were throwing the trash around everywhere, and they told us that they had been living here for months. Like they set up here in the woods. Actually, we just noticed the tent here, and when we pulled up, and that's when we started getting kind of curious. Like, what are y'all doing? They're like, well, we just like living here. We don't have no bills. We don't have jobs or anything. We just live in the woods. And then we told them, hey, this is private property. So that's the thing that we don't want, is when we pull up, we don't want to have to run people off. You know, like I said, people walking up and down here, that's cool, because we like to walk up and down the creek too. But when they're up here just squatting and doing bad things, you don't want to have to pull up and your kids see any weird things going on at all. A lot of times there'll be like panties and bras and underwear and stuff all strung out.
I have found hair dye kits where someone has actually come down here and dyed their hair in the creek. And some of those individuals did have outstanding warrants, come to find out.
Yeah.
So they're not only squatting on our land, they're running from the law, basically.
Yeah, and this is very rural, so this is the best place to do it, because the law can't just come down here and look, because everything's locked.
And they go from place to place to place.
Right.
Which, when you run into people like that, that's not a good situation, and that's not what we want to bring our kids into. And I know in
like in past experiences, one thing that we tried to avoid is you get angry when you come down here and someone's on your land.
I do.
But if you were to approach them, you know, they might say, okay, yeah, I'm sorry. 5 minutes later, they might show up with 30 people. You know, there might be 30 other people hiding out in the woods, and, you know, you can't just call for help down here. So you got to deal with it accordingly and be very cautious. Normally, we don't come down here by ourselves and stay a long time because of this situation. But in this instance, I didn't see any damage to any of our stuff or not. So when she took off running, that was just an alarm to say, hey, what the heck's going on? So I tried to trail her, and I watched her go through the woods and stumble and all that, and she actually fell down at the creek.
And tried to hide.
Yeah, trying to hide behind that
Like,
log and all
she was
that.
trying to hide like we wouldn't see her. And luckily, she walked off in the other direction. She didn't approach us, which is good.
That's the number one thing to do when we see trespassers. You know, so number one thing is we try to avoid the conflict. Of course, this situation is different. If we see someone like this at our house, when we're pulled up from being gone, and you see someone running, I'm gonna run down and probably tackle them, and then whatever happens, happens. This is more of a relaxation property that our family owns. So we come down here and you just expect it to be left the way you left it. You don't expect squatters and druggies or whatever to be down here, but it happens. Like I said, number one, you don't want conflict. Number two, we don't want to have to injure someone or nothing else. We don't want to have to deal with it. So if they just stayed out, we got no trespassing signs all over. There's one right here on this sign that you can see on the tree. I mean, we've got another one about 50 yards down, and they're just all over.
Yeah.
But
all over.
Unfortunately, it's what we got to deal with. So sometimes you do have to you got to use some words with them and let them know, hey, you're not welcome here. I don't know what you're doing. And they'll say, hey, sorry, we were just, a lot of times they'll say, hey, sorry, we didn't think anybody ever come down here. Even though we come down and mow it, you know, like every 2 to 3 weeks. A lot of people don't know that we come down here and bring our family. And we have a lot of other family that comes down here besides us too. But it's just frustrating when you get trespassers that are doing the bad stuff. Like I said, walking up and down the creek, that's no big deal. There's, you know, like I said earlier, there's tons of people that are good people, nice people that don't harm anything. But when you get people that just sit here and squat and camp nonstop and are drinking and doing drugs, we don't want any of that here. So anyways, I don't know. There you go.
And we could probably literally make a trespasser video every time we come down here. There's so many that we run into. And that may be something that we have to end up doing and push on the Cherokee Marshals to get them out of this area.
Yep.
I don't know. Because they don't want to deal with them. Nobody wants to deal with them. So, and then last time, I don't know if you can see way back there, there's a big tree. And that's where Kevin said that they had, what, backpacks all hid behind that?
Backpack and like a tackle box of stuff. And we were actually target shooting that tree. And then they come back even after we talked to them and said, hey, do you care if we get our stuff? We had no idea their stuff was back there hidden in the weeds and everything behind that log. And we're like, holy crap. What did they have in those bags? So who knows what's going on, but.
And that was, that was an extremely dangerous situation for everyone involved.
Yeah.
So, just stop trespassing, people, right? Kids, what do we have to deal with every time we come to our creek?
Trespassers.
What are they usually doing?
They're doing drugs and getting drunk.
Yeah, and taking baths and bringing their backpacks full of drugs and whatever else.
Yes.
And we have to run someone off every time we get down here?
Yep, and there was just someone over there.
Yep, every time we come. Does that make
a bath?
Yeah, does that make us feel safe?
No.
That somebody's always on our property?
No.
So, yeah, it's a little scary situation, especially if I want to bring the kids alone. We can't ever seem to come down here and there's not someone down here. So, it's very aggravating that we deal with trespassers every single time we come.
Yep.
And we have to worry about that here. It makes me feel seriously aggravated, and that's just not right. And it's usually people that are methed out of their minds. So you never know when you try and run one of those people off how they're going to react.
They might have a weapon, or
you just never know.
they might be aggressive.
Yeah.
Towards you.
And where we're at, we're literally completely off the grid here at our creek property. There is no cell reception. So if there was an emergency, we could not make a phone call out. So we would have to actually leave and go up to the local grocery store just to get help. So I hate having to deal with this every time we get down here. I hate it, don't you?
Yeah.
Because it used to be a place we could all come and
Enjoy the day.
enjoy our creek that my parents have paid for all of us kids to enjoy, and we work hard on the property to maintain it. Me and my brother Tracy and his wife Tina, we all work very hard, and some family friends. And these people come down here basically and squat and put up tents and bring their backpacks and basically live here, probably cook their drugs here. No telling. We found all kinds of evidence here. And there is nothing that can be done because, I don't know, the Cherokee Marshals don't want to deal with it. Nobody wants to deal with them.
And
So,
also, they just throw down their beer bottles
everything.
everywhere. I've seen so many beer bottles that I can't keep count no more.
I know, it's terrible. Anyway, we just thought we'd share that with you. We come down here to enjoy a little bit of creek time and just looking at the creek, and this is what we tend to find every time we come down here. So here you can see some more evidence where somebody actually drove a large truck in here, and it was not my family, and they've got stuck down here. So that's some more evidence of trespassers. And then up here, there's a whole bunch of footprints of people that's just walked right through here. All along here. That was not our footprints. These were here before we came. All through here. Tons of footprints.
At least I caught a crawdad.
Yep, you did.
Yep.
We like catching crawdads down here, don't we?
Yeah, and sometimes we cook them and eat them, but personally, I don't really like crawdads. I just like catching them and cooking them because it's like a tradition to us.
It is, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I like them if we boil them and have a little butter to dip them in.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of my favorite. What'd you find, Dad? You didn't find no arrowheads, did you?
No, not yet.
Kevin, every time he comes down here, he is on the hunt for arrowheads or any kind of artifacts. I found some blackberries over there hanging. Yeah. Almost. Probably, what do you think, another couple days?
So we really didn't have any intentions of making a video or even videoing at all. We were just coming down here to check out the creek because we've been getting a lot of rain here lately, and we were wondering if it was flooded because we wanted to maybe come down and spend the weekend or spend the day down here on the weekend and shoot some fireworks and maybe cook some hot dogs or something and have some friends over. But hopefully we don't got to deal with the trespassers every time. The water is nice and clean. It is not flooded. We've got 5 inches of rain, and luckily it's just flowing good and clean.
I don't know how it's not.
Hey, look at that ball.
Look, right there, Connor.
It's a moss ball.
Grab that.
No, don't grab that.
Grab
There's
it,
probably
sissy.
leeches in
Grab it.
it. That's crazy.
There could be a treasure in it.
Nope, just moss.
Dang it.
But anyways, guys, that's part of having land and stuff like that. Private property, you got to deal with trespassers. And I think we're going to be fine to come down here this weekend. So maybe we can video again this weekend and we won't have to deal with the trespasser this time. I hate making trespassing videos. I think everybody hates making trespassing videos because it is what it is. But sometimes we just want to show reality, and that is part of reality. You think you're coming down here to enjoy some time and just relax with your family, and you got to deal with stuff like that. Luckily, they just ran off and it wasn't no big deal, but
It cut in on our family time.
yeah, it does. And it's aggravating more than anything.
It is aggravating, but it is infringing on our family time because, like, since I'm off this summer, I had planned on, while Kevin's at work some days, bringing the kids down here. But at this point, it's not safe to do that.
No, not
on
by
my
yourself
own.
anyways.
So I will have to have somebody come with me.
Yeah.
And I mean, we always have a pew-pew on hand, but that's not, I mean, that's not
No,
something
we don't
want to
ever have
do.
to do that.
So,
That, but
No.
you have to protect your family, number one, and be safe.
Exactly.
So always be prepared. What do you think of the water? Is it cold, Kaya?
Yeah.
Is it gonna be?
great.
Is it gonna be good for this weekend?
Yes.
It is. Okay,
You
awesome.
think you're ready to do some fireworks down here?
Yeah.
So, anyways, guys, if you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing to our channel. Check out our other regular farm vlog videos. You never know what's gonna pop up on our channel. We got tons of animals, stuff like that. If you're coming over and seeing this trespassing video and clicking on it, please check out our other videos. Subscribe if you like what you see. Leave us a comment. Tell us, do you ever have problems with trespassers where you live or any of your property? Like this video, leave a comment, and we'll see you next time.
See you guys.